guys, Eva here, and today I am doing my April 2019 wrap up. As always, I will give you the statistics before we start. This month I read a total of 16 things, 12 were books. Among the books were 3 mystery books, 2 audiobooks, and 1 audiobook was actually a mystery book. So the mystery books, which are total 3, as I said, will be not discussed in this video apart from the page count, and I've also read 4 graphic novels / manga on top of the 12 books. The page count without the audiobooks and the graphic novels and so on was 3,718 pages, which is not too bad. And then the next categories are without the mystery books in it. Just to let you know, as far as the genre goes, I've read all over the place. I've read 1 dystopian, 1 crime, 1 non-fiction, 6 fantasy, 1 paranormal, 1 magical realism, 1 urban fantasy, and 1 contemporary. And as far as the rating goes, 1 book was in the range of 2 stars, 7 things were in the range of 3 stars, 6 things were in the range of 4 stars, and these statistics, the genre and the star rating, included the manga graphic novels section. And I completed my TBR, so that's yes, me. So the first book that I read was a mystery book, so I will skip to the second one that I read for the month, and that was Shatter Me by Tara Mafi. And I finally jumped on this train and read the first book in these. Now like 5 books are out. Anyway, this is a dystopian YA where our protagonist Juliet, at the beginning of the book, she is in prison. And she is there because she cannot touch anybody, otherwise she will suck the life out of them. So she's considered really dangerous and kept in prison until one day this guy is thrown in the cell with her to see what happens. Now here we go with my unpopular opinions. I gave this book 2.5 stars. I think I am too late for this kind of books. I think if I read it when it came out, when dystopian was really like all over the place, I would have maybe enjoyed it a little bit more. Maybe not, maybe yes, but I think it's way too late, and this is too simplistic for me nowadays. You know, that I can compare it to many other things to actually enjoy it or appreciate it. The writing is not easy to get into, although I can recognize that sometimes it is beautiful. It's not something that you can read fluently. I don't know, I didn't connect with the writing a lot. The words is really simplistic, and literally nothing happens in this book. Like, so little happens, and when it happens is just, yeah, okay, I know what's gonna happen. Like, I'm of course being spoiled many years ago about, like, you know, the love triangle and so on. Juliet was the best thing about this book. I think her goodness, inner goodness, was really admirable, so that I appreciated. And although she can be, I guess, annoying sometimes, I really appreciated her as a character. The love part of the plot, I was like, how did we go from I cannot touch you or I will kill you to being all over each other? I didn't see that coming. I didn't see like how that happened. Like 1 minute, oh, stay away, and the next one we were like all over each other, which was okay. Warner is a douche, but we know it. But yeah, they say he's gonna redeem himself, but I will try maybe pick up the rest of the series from the library, see if they improve and I want to buy it for myself. Otherwise, if I don't like the rest of the books, I will sell my copy. I am not into dystopian a lot, and this didn't impress me at all. So yeah, 2.5 stars. I am sorry about that. I know this is really beloved series. It's just probably not for me, or maybe just this first book. We will see. Then I picked up from my TBR The Dry by Jane Harper, and this is a crime novel, and it's about this detective that goes back into his old town where he grew up and from where he flew with his dad many years previously, because his best friend, his wife, and their oldest child has died. And apparently when he goes there, the town is convinced that the guy, his best friend, killed the family and then killed himself. And then of course he goes to the funeral and something is fishy, and he stays behind to resolve the mystery of what really happened to the family. I liked this enough. I think for the amount of plot it was a little bit too long, but I did appreciate the writing, and I enjoyed the back history when we find out why he flew with his dad the town. The reason behind it, that mystery was really interesting, and although it was sad, I really liked it, how it develops. I guessed the bad guy way before it was actually revealed in the book, but I still enjoyed to see how they got there and the motive he had. say that the main protagonist is kind of really dull as a character. So yeah, you know, when you have a detective story which will develop in further book with other crimes, you kind of have to like the main guy. I hope it will redeem itself. I will become more interesting. I will pick up the other books. I overall enjoyed it, but yeah, I won't spend too much money on it for now. I found it in a charity shop, so yeah, hopefully I can find the rest. And I gave it 3.75 stars. The audiobook that I finished this month was Humans: A Brief History of How We Fucked All Up, basically. And this is a non-fiction audiobook. I wished I didn't listen to this. I had actually read it. I try with audiobooks and they keep me occupied when I do like stuff around the house maybe, but I miss so many things, and I think I could have gotten way more from this book if I read it in a physical copy. This non-fictional book in particular was about the author telling us part of our history where human fucked up pretty much badly, and it was really funny and interesting to see how we are kind of morons over and over again. So yeah, yes, but the message behind is really important. Like, how can we fix things, and if we just, you know, if we just stop being so fucking stupid, which I think is a really important message to get through. And I overall really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I will definitely recommend it if you can, maybe in physical copy, or if you listen to audiobooks more attentively than I do, maybe you can take way more. But it was well narrated, so it's just me that, you know, I can like see a dust fleck and it was like, whoa, what is that? And then I just lose track and whoa, you know, I have to backtrack and listen again. It's just me not really being able to do with audiobooks. Then I've read The Last Namsara. This I picked up from the library. The basic plot is that you follow this girl in this fantasy world where there are dragons that are hunted down. So this girl, she's the daughter of the king, and she is a really famous dragon hunter. She has hunted dragons all her life because of her past, and then something happens that made her rethink her choices. Now this was a mixed bag for me. On one side, I loved Torwin. It was a precious cinnamon roll. I liked the ending. I loved the last sentence of this book. I think it was such a powerful sentence, and I overall cannot say that the writing was bad or say that I felt like kind of detached from this story a lot. There was no description of the characters whatsoever, which, if you don't describe the characters, for me makes really hard then to imagine, because when I read, I imagine the story in my mind, and if I cannot do it well because the world building is not enough or I don't have any idea of what the characters look like, then I cannot imagine that really, and that takes away from my experience. So that lacked, definitely. I felt really cold toward the story, was not attached to any of the characters, and I found myself quite bored for the first 300 pages of this book. So overall I gave this 3.5 stars. It was mainly for the last part that got the 0.5, otherwise it would have stayed at 3. They say that the second book is way better, which I hope, but there is definitely character growth, so it's something really visible and well done. So if you like character growth, definitely maybe this could be for you. I might be picking up the next books in the series just to check out from the library, but I am in no rush, as this was quite overall disappointing and dense. It didn't flew by, so I will take my time, but I will be trying the second book since everybody says it's way better. Then I read The Wicked Deep from the library as well, and this is a paranormal, I call it paranormal, I don't know what you call it, but basically in this town, 300 years before the start of the book, 3 girls that were marked as witches were drowned, and since then each year during summer they possess one girl each in the town, and that girl will drown a boy from the town, and after 2 weeks or something like that they will go back underwater. They will just leave the body, and the girl won't remember what she did, and no one will be able to tell, oh, she was the one possessed. So year after year these guys keep dying, drowned by these girls possessed, but it's impossible to say which girl was possessed, and so they never catch them, and the year later this starts again. And at the beginning of the book you follow a protagonist that meets this boy that has come out of town to find a job, and he comes just right when the hunting season starts basically. So he's introduced to this crazy tradition that the town has, and of course they go about finding out and resolving the issue. I enjoyed this quite enough. I think it was a little bit dull in the middle, but apart from that, I loved the innovative idea. The writing was okay, the characters were kind of okay. Yes, I saw coming kind of everything, but I still enjoy reading about it, if it makes sense. And I will definitely be picking up more by the author. I think she has a lot of potential. So yeah, it was overall a good one. Then I picked up another book from my TBR, which was A Shiver of Light by Laurel K. Hamilton, and this is book number 9 in the Mary Gentry series by Hamilton. Of course, I cannot spoil this, but in the first book, basically you follow Mary Gentry. She is a fair princess. She's partly human though, I think, but she's a fair princess that has been basically living in the human world because the Selly and Unsully kingdoms are really are like kind of trying to kill her. It's kind of complicated family history, and it's been a long while since I read the first book, but overall I think I enjoyed this series better than the Anita Blake series after the 8 books, if it makes sense. This 9th book, this was nice. I enjoyed it, but I have to be honest here. So you know when you like a book, but you know that objectively it's probably bad. Like it is bad. Like there is nothing remarkable about this book, and nothing happens apart from the last 50 pages. Said that since I loved these characters for many years and I thought the series was concluded with the 8th book, I never thought we were gonna get more books. So this was like almost like reading fan fiction about your favorite characters, about their everyday life. And so for that, I appreciated it. I think her writing flows by really, really quickly. It felt like reading about their lives and what they were doing every day, which as a fan, you know, I appreciated it. But on the other side, I guess really nothing happens. When something happens in the last 50 pages, I didn't like the reaction that Mary had. I think it was too mild. It was not handled really well, and it was too rushed. Of course, because we were at the end of the book, she had like 20 pages to go. So yeah, that was not. And also, can we talk about how Kitto is used as a footstool twice? One time he's wearing just a thong, and the second time he's wearing like yoga pants. A footstool? Really? Like, she makes it seems like he wants to do it and it's a kind of honorable thing. It's still a no. That's the point with Laurel K. Hamilton series specifically. I like how gender fluid her characters are. I like how she handles sexuality in a really open way. In this case, I think it's more justified than in the Anita Blake series because, you know, the fairies, they don't see sexuality as humans do, so that she has an excuse, if you want, for all the promiscuity and sex stuff that are going on in here. Although there is not too much sex in these, to be honest. So it's more justified than Anita Blake series, in my opinion. Say that sometimes she has a way to treat these guys that it's convenient for the story, but personally I don't like it. I don't like how they are submissive. I know that people are maybe okay with that. For me, seeing a man so submissive takes away from me seeing him as sexy, and I think she wants us to see him as sexy, which doesn't match with the submissivity that they have. I don't know, it's a complicated thing. I am not making any sense. I will stop talking about this. I gave it 3.5 stars because I liked it, but I kind of was not really good objectively. There's just no way that if you make a guy wearing a thong and being your footstool, then I can see this guy in a sexy way. Sorry, maybe it's just me. Maybe, you know, other people can find it really sexy. For me, it was a no. Then I read Interesting Times by Terry Pratchett, which is book number 17 in the Disco War series, and it's part of the Rincewind sub-series, which is like the mage sub-series, which I really enjoyed. So for the premise of this is that a bunch of elderly barbarians, 7 in total, 1 in a wheelchair and 1 is actually a teacher, so it's not even a proper barbarians, and I'm talking about 90, 100 years old barbarians, with the alpha called Genghis Khan go to conquer the mighty disco world version of the Chinese Empire. Do I need to add anything? I don't think so. I truly enjoyed this book. This was one of the really good ones among the series. It does sound like, but this was written way before. The barbarians, they were hilarious. There are bits which are plenty. I'll list out maybe more of this book where I love them to pieces. They're my precious, definitely now among my favorite characters in books. So that's how much I love them. There were also more plot than usual, and it was more simply put, so more easily understandable, which I totally appreciated, and the humor is always good. So I gave this a full 4 stars. It is definitely one of my favorite in the series. It is definitely among or close to my favorite in the series. Then I got this from a library, and The Ocean Was Our Sky by Patrick Ness and illustrated by Rovina Kai. So this is illustrated, but it's also written. So yeah. This is a retelling of Moby Dick that you follow the whales and they are hunting the humans. And this was a fantasy, and this is a fantasy course. I liked some of my messages, and the final one that we got throughout this book, the illustrations were nothing special though, to be honest. Like, I feel she could have put some more effort in it. Also, the idea was a little bit far-fetched. Like, I appreciate the fact that we follow a whale point of view, but they made into, the whales had a whole society going on, and the whales were traveling through ships in the ocean. Like, why would a whale who could swim push around a boat in the ocean when she can just swim? Like, I get the idea, but it's just fucking stupid. I'm sorry, I'll just put it out there. Why would they push a boat when they can just swim? What's the point of it? Good effort, but no, just pointless. And it was overall a bit dull, like all the ship's bites and so on. So yeah, then it was okay, but I was not impressed by the rest. So 3 stars for these. I'm glad I got it from the library. I don't really click with most of these books, unfortunately, and yeah. And lastly, for the books, I have read Nowhere But Here by Katie McGarry. This is a YA contemporary story that took inspiration from Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy, it's a really violent TV show with 7 seasons, and it's my favorite TV show ever with Game of Thrones. Love it to pieces, but if you think that, no, I don't know, Breaking Bad is violent, Sons of Anarchy is twice, 4 times more violent. So Sons of Anarchy is my baby. So I was hesitant going into this because I was like, this can be so wrong, like a YA contemporary version of it. I think it had little to do with Sons of Anarchy itself. But the few things it had in common, they were well handled, in my opinion. It was a well done version of a YA contemporary version of it. A lot of versions, but yeah, I think it was well done. I appreciated how it was done. I like the fact that this is more a family drama than it's actually a love story. So we have a love story, which is cute, nice, but we actually have a family mystery that you have to get to by the end, and I really appreciated it. I wanted to find out what was gonna happen, as I didn't really guess it, so that was nice. I love the family dynamics, and the club have a reign of terror. Oh, they are so amazing. I think the end was a little bit like, there was a point with the grandmother that I wished we had more between them, between our protagonist, the female protagonist Emily, and our grandmother. That was really touching though, and I overall will continue with the series. These are like companion series, so there are 3 books in total, but each of them follow 2 different characters that you are introduced to them in this book. So I'm curious to continue on. It was overall really well written. I will be picking up more by her. I think these days I rarely enjoy contemporary, so when I do, it's kind of a miracle. She made me enjoy this. So yeah, good one, and I gave it 4 stars. Comics. The first graphic novel I read was called Day Tripper. I found this in the library, didn't know what it was. I would say this is a contemporary / magic realism. I don't know how to explain. So basically you follow this man with many versions of what could happen in his life. So you have different endings of the same life of the same person, but when he chooses totally different path in his life. Kind of sliding door the movies, like all the possibilities. And I really appreciated this. I really enjoyed it. The art style was not my cup of tea, but overall the message at the end was so nice and it was really interesting. It kept me engaged, and I will definitely buy a copy for myself and reread it. And I think the final message is one that can give you strength when you feel a bit down and when you fear death. So definitely a good one, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Then really quickly I got through And Elizabeth. This is an Italian one, so this is by Barbara Canepa and Anna Merli, and this is a fantasy middle grade story about this girl that one day dies basically, and you follow her sister and her because she's dead but not really. I will show you the art because this is stunning. However, this is in Italian, so yeah, there's no translation, but it was a little bit but although the stunning art, it was a little bit disappointing. Dialogue felt really weird and they didn't flow or seems like proper or dialogue that people will ever add, and the end didn't make much sense. So yeah, kind of disappointed, but beautiful art, and the beginning was quite interesting. So 3.5 stars. But yeah, probably no one watching this will ever read this. Then I read Nightlights by Lorena Alvarez, and this has another one with beautiful art in it. The story was cute. I love the drawings, but again, it was a middle grade, so it felt really middle grade, and the story itself was okay, but nothing super special. Although I appreciated more than End. So yeah, 3.75 stars. The drawings, I need to pick up more by this author just because I loved her coloring and the art so much. And finally I've read Dawn of the Arcana, Volume 5 by Ray Toma. This is a fantasy series. The first volume, you follow this girl that she's given in marriage to the prince of another kingdom in order to maintain peace. And she goes there, she hates his guts, and then things start to happen and she might have powers. So here's some of the art. I really enjoy the art. Caesar, the guy she gets married to, he's a douche, but he's the love of my life. So if you follow me, you know that by now. This volume was, I like the series overall. I gave this volume 4 stars. However, we had a little interaction between the protagonists, which I'm here for a love story. I'm not even, you know, kidding. The fantasy part are not bad. They are well done, and she's a really kick-ass protagonist. She's like soft, but at the same time she finds the strength when needed, and she doesn't have to be protected by the guys in her life, which I really appreciate. But I wanted to see more of them, and I didn't get that. 4 stars instead of the usual 4.5. That was it for this month. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. If you're new, I would love for you to subscribe, so hit the button down below. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day, night, depends on where you are, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.